This week we read Parashat Behar-Bechokotai. At the beginning of the Torah portion, the Israelites are commanded to let their fields lie fallow every 7 years. And they're told that they're not allowed to harvest, but that if the fields produce on their own, then the Israelites may eat from those fields, not necessarily the owner and their family, their servants, and others who may come to gather there. Further, the Torah portion later says that when you leave your fields fallow in the 7th year, there will be so much more in the 8th that you will be eating the old stored grain into the 9th year. Rabbi Mark Margolius in the Musar Torah commentary talks about the letting go that's necessary in order to observe this mitzvah, to let one's fields lie fallow. He writes, the sabbatical and jubilee years invite us to set down the tools by which we work the land, to relinquish what others may owe us, and surrender our inclination to control. To the extent that we can learn to trust the process or go with the flow of life, we may learn that the current carries us where we need to go. Practicing bitachon, or trust, we learn in the terminology of 12-step programs to let go and let God. Wow. If there was ever a time when we are required to relinquish control and trust that somehow things are going to be okay, this is that time. It's amazing that Rabbi Margolius wrote this in 2019. He wasn't anticipating this pandemic and all of the uncertainty it's brought us. I wonder if, as we read this portion this Shabbat, we can relinquish control. There's so little that we can control right now. You know, like, I think about rescheduling things to August or July or September. Maybe that'll work. Maybe we can get back together then. But even so, it's probably going to be limited, and who among us really knows? Our predecessors in this country lived through a Great Depression that stretched from 1929 until World War II. More than a decade. God willing, we are not in for that. And yet they enjoyed, those who endured those terrible years, enjoyed years of great prosperity in the years after the war. Who knows exactly what the future holds for us? But may it be our blessing that after having had to withhold in the 7th year, in our version of the 7th year, we may eat old grain because there will be so much in the 8th. I'll read from the first 6 verses of chapter 25 of the book of Leviticus. I note that it's the anniversary of my bar mitzvah, the 44th anniversary of my bar mitzvah this Shabbat. Baruch hu et Adonai haborach, Baruch Adonai haborach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai haborach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. V'adaber Adonai el Moshe b'har Sinai lemor, and Adonai spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'amart alehem, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, Ki tava'u el ha'aretz asher ani noten lachem, when you come into the land which I give to you, v'shavta ha'aretz Shabbat l'Adonai, you shall give the land a Sabbath to Adonai. Shesh shanim tizrak sadecha v'shesh shanim tizmor karmecha. For 6 years you may plant your fields, and for 6 years you may trim your vine. Ve'asafta et tevuata, and take in its harvest. Uvashana hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbaton yihiel haaretz. But the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for the land. Shabbat l'Adonai, a Sabbath for Adonai. Sadcha lo tizra, v'charmcha lo tizmor. You shall not plant your fields, and you must not trim your vines. Et tzviach ketzircha lo tiksor, ve'et anvei nizirecha lo tivtzor. You may not collect either that which falls in the fields or that grows wild on the vines. Shnat Shabbaton Adonai, during the year of Adonai's Sabbath, la'aretz, of the land. V'haita Shabbat ha'aretz lachem ochla. But what grows of its own, you may have to eat. So there's a distinction made between owners of the land harvesting or even gleaning in order to sell or anything like that, and being allowed to eat what grows of its own. So that's what they're allowed to eat. L'cha, for you, u'lavdecha, u'lamatcha, for you, your male or female servant, u'sircha, or any paid laborer, u'toshavcha, hagarim imach, and to those who reside with you, among you, even though they're aliens, and also your beast, u'lechaya asher ba'atzecha, and to any animal that is, any living thing that is in your land. Tiyeh kol tvuata la'ochel. That anything that grows there shall be for them as food. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Shabbat shalom.